They said it was paradise, white sandy beaches, clear blue water, and sunshine all year. But why are thousands of Americans suddenly rushing to the Caribbean in 2025 and not for a vacation? What is Trump saying that's causing so much fear, hope, and confusion at the same time? Could you lose your citizenship without even knowing it? Could you be on a secret deportation list? From surprise deportation orders to new rules about who's a citizen by birth and quiet deals with Caribbean countries, something big is happening right now. Don't go anywhere, because this isn't just about immigrants. It could change who gets to live in America forever. Number 10, mass deportation plans stir Caribbean concerns. You'd think deportations were just a political buzzword, but in 2025, something changed. Suddenly, panic swept through Caribbean communities both in the US and abroad. That's because Donald Trump returned to the headlines with bold immigration promises. And this time, it wasn't just talk. His revived deportation agenda caught fire fast. Media across the Caribbean reported rumors of mass removals, and island governments had to jump into damage control. One Caribbean official even labeled the US claims categorically false. But guess what? The fear had already sunk in. Thousands worried if their status was safe, even with legal paperwork. Streets in places like Miami's Little Haiti and Brooklyn's Caribbean enclaves grew quieter. People started disappearing quietly without notice. Was this just policy, or was it something bigger? So here's the question. If entire communities are being swept up, who's next? And why is the Caribbean bracing for a wave that might already be in motion? Number 9, proposal to deport migrants to third countries. You'd never expect your final destination to be a place you've never even been. But that's exactly what sparked outrage in 2025. Turns out the Trump administration floated a plan so shocking, Caribbean nations called it inhumane. The US proposed deporting migrants not to their home countries, but to unrelated third nations like the Bahamas or Grenada. Let that sink in. People being sent to islands they have no connection to. No family, no ties, no history. The Bahamas immediately rejected the offer. Grenada and Turks and Caicos were next. Leaders stood their ground, calling the idea a violation of international norms. But guess what? The US was still exploring similar deals behind closed doors. For many immigrants, it raised terrifying questions. Could you be packed onto a plane to a place you've never heard of? Before we continue, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It helps us bring you more real updates. And trust us, the next one might just affect someone you know. Something strange is happening. In early 2025, the US flagged several Caribbean nations for new travel reviews. No warning, no big headlines, just sudden restrictions. You'd be shocked how fast friendly nations can land on a watch list. What triggered it? And who's really being targeted? Let's break it all down. Number 8, travel restrictions on Caribbean nations. You thought it was just a vacation hotspot, but in 2025, some Caribbean islands suddenly found themselves on a US watch list. That's right, St. Lucia, Dominica, Antigua and Barbuda, Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and St. Kitts and Nevis were all quietly flagged for increased travel scrutiny. No press conference, no warnings, just a sudden shift that left governments stunned and travelers confused. What triggered it? Citizenship by investment programs. These programs, where foreigners can purchase citizenship through real estate or financial contributions, raised security alarms in the US. Officials worried these passports were being issued too freely, potentially without strong background checks. In simple terms, some saw it as a loophole that could let in the wrong people. American officials insisted the move wasn't personal, but when visa processing slows down and citizens are questioned more at airports, it feels personal. Caribbean leaders weren't silent. They called for direct talks with the State Department, demanding to know, why now? Why us? Meanwhile, diaspora communities in the US started to worry too. Could these restrictions lead to broader consequences? Could dual citizens see their travel rights impacted? This isn't just about Caribbean islands. It's part of a larger shift in how the US is tightening its global border game, quietly, strategically, and fast. So if your family has roots in the Caribbean or you just love island hopping, ask yourself, how much freedom is left when travel starts getting flagged? Number 7, birthright citizenship policy changes. Most Americans assume citizenship is automatic if you're born on U.S. soil, but in 2025, a new headline shattered that idea. The name behind the shift? Donald Trump. And the policy? A renewed push to end birthright citizenship for children of non-citizen parents, starting with those in the U.S. illegally. You'd think the Constitution had the final say, but Trump's legal team argued the 14th Amendment doesn't apply the way we've always believed. And guess what? A growing number of lawmakers supported the idea. Suddenly, families began asking, what does this mean for my kids? If a baby is born in Florida to undocumented parents from Jamaica or Haiti, are they no longer American? It wasn't just legal, it was emotional. Families who had built lives here started questioning everything. Could their children lose health care, schooling rights, or even face deportation down the line? And here's the kicker. The Trump team suggested the executive branch could enforce this change without needing Congress. That made the stakes even higher. Immigration attorneys warned it could set off years of legal chaos. Hospitals, schools, even employers would be caught in the middle, trying to figure out who counts as a citizen and who doesn't. Meanwhile, Caribbean nations brace themselves. If this policy goes through, they could see tens of thousands of people who grew up in the U.S., suddenly needing documentation from countries they've never even visited. So ask yourself, what really makes someone American? Is it where you're born or who your parents are? Before we move forward, don't forget to subscribe. It helps us keep exposing what's really happening behind the headlines. And trust us, you don't want to miss what's coming next. It started as a foreign policy from the 1800s. Now it's back. In 2025, the U.S. quietly started reviving an old doctrine with bold new goals. You guessed it, the Monroe Doctrine. The message, the Western Hemisphere is America's backyard. But is this just about foreign influence or something bigger? Number 6, reinvigoration of the Monroe Doctrine. At first, it looked like just another press statement, but then came the deployments, the high-level visits, and bold language aimed at rival superpowers. That's when the Monroe Doctrine officially returned, this time with 2025 urgency. The United States has been quietly reasserting the Monroe Doctrine, a 200-year-old policy that says no foreign power should interfere in the Americas. Sounds old school, right? But the revival has real-world consequences, especially for smaller nations in the Caribbean and Latin America. Why now? U.S. officials claim it's a response to growing Chinese and Russian influence in the region. They point to infrastructure deals, military port agreements, and intelligence hubs that seem too close for comfort. Caribbean nations that once relied on the U.S. are now accepting billion-dollar loans and tech investments from Beijing. And the U.S. isn't just talking anymore, it's acting. Intelligence briefings, diplomatic pressure, and visa restrictions are all on the table. Migration is also being affected. It's like two fronts of the same doctrine, military posturing on one side, migration control on the other. So ask yourself, is this about national security or global influence? Who really wins when the rules of the Western Hemisphere are being rewritten? Number 5, deportation to El Salvador sparks legal controversy. It started with one high-profile removal. Then came dozens more. In early 2025, the U.S. began deporting migrants to El Salvador, a move that raised serious legal questions. These weren't typical deportations. Some included asylum seekers with active court cases. Others had never even set foot in El Salvador. Critics asked, how can the U.S. justify deporting individuals to third-party countries under so-called safe mobility agreements? El Salvador's own legal system pushed back, arguing that these transfers violated international norms. Families were caught in limbo. Emergency petitions flooded U.S. courts. And then came the big question, if this can happen to Salvadorans, could it happen to Jamaicans, Haitians, Hondurans? The Department of Homeland Security insisted the removals were legal, citing regional agreements signed in 2023. But lawsuits told a different story. And if even one federal judge sides with the plaintiffs, the entire operation could grind to a halt. So ask yourself, when a migrant is deported, where is home really? And who decides that? Washington or the courts? Number 4, the Dominican Republic's mass deportations to collapsing Haiti. In 2025, the Dominican Republic ramped up deportations of Haitians like never before. Over 250,000 people sent back, including children born on Dominican soil. Authorities claim they were just enforcing immigration law, but human rights groups exposed something darker. People with legal documents were being rounded up based on skin color and language. Many were dumped at the border into a Haiti controlled by gangs, without food, water, or a home. The line between legal residency and forced exile has vanished. Number 3, Caribbean American communities flagged for digital surveillance. Across U.S. cities, AI-driven surveillance systems quietly targeted Caribbean American neighborhoods. Facial recognition, geofencing, and language-based data mining zeroed in on Creole and Patois speakers. Immigration officers began showing up at churches, ESL programs, and youth centers. The goal? To identify risk clusters. But the result? Innocent people caught in a digital dragnet, watched, flagged, and sometimes detained, all because of their culture and where they live. Number 2, social media and messaging apps turned into immigration traps. In 2025, ICE began using data from WhatsApp, Facebook, and Telegram to build immigration cases, without warrants. Caribbean migrants were targeted for using common slang, emojis, or even posting about cultural holidays. One viral case involved a Trinidadian mother whose deportation was fast-tracked after she posted "Carnival Soon Come" on Instagram. The algorithm flagged it as risk of absconding. You don't need to be committing a crime anymore. You just have to post like someone who might. Number 1, leaked citizenship agreements threaten Caribbean American status. In a shocking diplomatic leak, the U.S. was caught negotiating secret citizenship audits with several Caribbean nations. These agreements allow governments to reinvestigate the citizenship of naturalized immigrants and even U.S.-born citizens with Caribbean parents. Officials want to review ties, loyalty, even cultural assimilation. In one case, a second-generation Jamaican American with no criminal record was issued a letter questioning her passport's validity. If you thought being born in the U.S. made you safe, you may want to think again. If you found this eye-opening, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that shape our world. What do you think about these sweeping immigration changes and their impact on Caribbean communities? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear from you. Stay informed, stay alert, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.